I would never wish that this didn't happen, because I have learned, you know, through the relapse, more behavioral, like more defects, more really confronted with the true essence of who I am, that am just tired of, that I didn't even really realize existed.
We have Eden Sassoon in the house.
Hi, beautiful. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you.
How was your flight?
It was great. I literally was up at, 4:30. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Let's go. Let's do this.
And it's interesting because normally, a head like mine or like ours wakes up with a full of just, and I was like, this is, I was in alignment with purpose.
Yes.
And it was very much smooth and felt great, and thank you.
Yeah. And
it's hustling.
We hustling. We hustling to the airport on the way here, and it's not too bad of a drive. I mean, it's 45 minutes, but I've always been curious, since some people have flown from Southern California, which is like the opposite of what I do. It's about the same, because I fly into Orange County or LA and it's like 45 minutes through traffic. Here is just through like farmland.
This was beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not bad. And I flew out of Burbank. So that's really close to where I am.
So not bad. Well, I am really excited to have you here. And I mean, there's just so much to talk about, and you're just a shining light. And I know that you've gone through so much lately, and I'm thankful that you're here to be able to share your experiences and help other people that are going through the process or have loved ones that are struggling.
Yes.
Working in this field, addiction and mental health is dear to my heart through my own recovery. And I love connecting with like-minded people such as yourself to just let other people know that they're going to be okay, Yeah,
I think that the more that we see love and God through others, and through moments like this, and you can share that and someone's listening and they find that hope. That moment of like, I just want to cry because I've gone back and I'm really doing the work. And you have those moments like, wait, having nothing to do with wanting to reach out in active addiction for a substance, but just the unmanageability of, how did I live, like this for so long, when you really truly can turn it over and take these steps to change your life.
Right.
So much hope.
Yeah, so much. And so you're in recovery.
Yes.
How old were you when your addiction started?
Oh God. I was 15 the first night that 15 that we all remember. I took my first drink and we were going out to a club in LA, and everyone's like, what are you doing? You're drunk. You're going to be just like your sister and your mother. And I was like, but I could feel the minute the first drink went down, I was like, whoa, this is amazing. I'm free. But then they were coming at me and I was like, wait, this isn't right. I knew immediately that I was an alcoholic, and that at some point, this is not the way that I could live my life.
Right.
It was too drastic of a change.
Right. Yeah. And that's a scary thing, right? Is feeling that altered mindset and that escape where you feel free in that moment. But really then it just brings more negative consequences along. It's not fun anymore.
Nope.
Now everything in your life's falling out of place. Was your mom and sister an addict as well?
Yeah, my mom, she's in recovery, and my sister overdosed in January 1st, 2002.
Oh my gosh. Eden, bless your heart. So you've lost two siblings.
Two siblings, yes. So my brother David just overdosed September 14th, 2 months ago. And what keeps me grounded in that is obviously paying it forward, and obviously being really a participant in my own recovery. Whereas for 9.5 years, part of the story is I was dry, not the whole entire sobriety, but I kind of at a young age knew that I had knew I had an issue. Always was just like, I'll do it. I'll deal with it when I'm ready. And obviously it came point that I was ready. But in LA, we have such a strong, depending how hard you're working, such a large community in recovery that you can use that as an escape. And so if I think at that age, I had just lost my father, that I was using it as a social escape of like, okay, I'll just be abstinent, but I really won't dive into the recovery aspect because I didn't know. I mean, I just had opened a business. I'd lost my dad. My kids were young. I thought that, okay, let me just manage what's on my plate. I didn't realize that the behavior was the problem.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
So just being abstinent was at the time, I guess, enough until, 9.5 years later, I was like, you know what? I think I'm a different person. I think I can have a drink. Well, when you're not, really in the middle every day and working the program in Alcoholics Anonymous, which I do daily, of course, that sounds like a good idea.
Right.
It's your best idea you got in sobriety. Yeah. And then I took 10 months off and I proceeded to say, and I said to myself, look, when this gets out of control, which I should have immediately realized, but I didn't, I gave it some time. And sure enough, it did. And the last weekend in Vegas, and I was blacked out twice. Thank God for this poor soul that I was dating. And sort of peed my pants twice and tried to break into the blackjack table when it was closed. But having no idea that this was happening. And I woke up and I'm like, what is going on? And I'm like, that's it. I'm done. It was Easter, which I'm not religious, but I do believe in God. I'm like, that's it. We're done. We are done. And it's time for real recovery. And I'm like, and you're out. This poor soul, which I have actually seen since. And I'm going to change my life. And so that being said, when we lose like family members, when you're really in the middle and in recovery, like their life doesn't have to be, all for nothing. Like if I continue to make a difference one day at a time for myself and pay that forward, because that's our job. Then I know that, I can manage or be in acceptance of losing them. And the fact that really, I do not want my brother and or sister or anyone on this planet, if you cannot find a way to find what we have and give it over and be willing and live by the principles that we do, and you're suffering daily, it's not for me to judge.
Right. Yeah. And that's the most heartbreaking part of it is, being a sibling of one struggling, it's I know that they're suffering every single day. And that I think is what breaks my heart the most, is I know they're living in pure misery. And I remember those days where I want to say, like, luckily you're kind of numb to it. Right. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, I know it sounds like crazy to say, but you are. I mean, you may have emotions, but I remember even the saddest things would happen, or I would see somebody else crying because what I was doing to them, because I was so destructive and trying to break my grandparents, trying to hold my arms back because I was trying to break away from them so I can go get high. And they were just trying to help me detox in their cabin. And seeing them just so emotional and crying like that, you would think, you would look at them and be like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this to them.
Right.
But instead, it's like, get me out of here as quick as possible so I can go get high and put all this shit behind me. Horrible. Just
unbelievable how the brain does what it does. Right. And we don't even recognize or realize it. Especially not when you're actively.
Right. When you're in active addiction, it's not. Forget it. And what I love about being in the place that I am, and I'm still learning always, you know, it's constantly and trying to get closer to God. I've been doing Bible studies lately. And my son wants to get baptized. He's been wanting to get baptized since he was like 6. And I was like, I think now's a good time. They're in private school and he really has a lot of faith. And I love that for him. Beautiful. And so I told him, okay, for your 10th birthday. And so when he turns 10 in December.
I love that.
Yeah. So he's been doing Bible studies. I'm like, you know what? Why don't I join him?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, I had a lot of guilt of not going to church because I'm like so busy, but I'm like, that doesn't change the fact that I have, my faith is fully there. 100%, always has been.
100%. I mean, I always say to people, we have to go to church on Sunday. Okay, but why can't we just do church right here? I mean, I understand you show up and you go out of your way to the house of the Lord, but I think that also, exactly. I think it also comes with, labels and rules and things that I don't believe exist.
And I agree with that. I feel like, I mean, what about the families that go to church and who knows what's happening within their own home?
Oh, well,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I rather, if I can't make it because I'm busy, but we're practicing those principles and morals within our home and how we're raising our children. To me, that's more important.
Incredible. Incredible. I mean, obviously the discipline of like something to do every, you're basing traditions, and what does that look like? Do I wish that I had maybe instilled that in my children? Because now I ask them to come to Agape with me and they're like, wait, what is this religious? Is this God? Is this, Meanwhile, it's like, they go to Notre Dame. I'm like, what are you learning over there? Are they teaching you the Old Testament, the New Testament? What's going on? And there's all judgment from everybody around it. I'm like, just learn. Just open your heart. Just be open-minded and just let the Spirit fill you.
Right. I mean, and that's all we can try to do for our kids now in this scary world that we're living in. And I feel like it's just affecting our kids younger and younger, and it's really scary to see like what kids are doing in high school and middle school today is way different and way more extreme than when I was in middle school and high school.
Yeah.
And that terrifies me. So you recently you got back on track.
Yes.
I'm curious, Eden, to know your perspective and what you would say to newcomers or ones that are in that situation, and how did you, because I mean, you got out of it pretty quickly. Fair enough. It was 10 months you had said, right?
10 months for me to get back into the addiction of even men. Well, that never left me probably originally either. But now that I'd gone through, I would never wish that this didn't happen, because I have learned, through the relapse, more behavioral, like more defects, more really confronted with the true essence of who I am, that I am just tired of, that I didn't even really realize existed.
Right.
I'm self-centered. Wait, what? Yeah. I'm egotistical. I'm all these things where I'm like, I'm a really nice, caring, loving person, but no, I let people, I mean, you name it, it's happening. So I didn't really realize that was going on. And so now when I speak to I have a lot of newcomers because I'm back coming up to me, and I also can see, look, I'll meet you halfway, but I cannot and will not do the work for you.
Right.
I will definitely, however I can, because I am the type, and I think we were talking about that, what can I do? And I'll take it on myself. And that's not where I'm at in life, nor is it ever really where I want to be. If someone has that desperation like I did, like speaking for myself only, then you're going to show up and you're going to do the work, and you're going to be as brutally honest with yourself as possible, to where like everything in your life is falling apart and you get some sense of release from the Spirit, and then bam, the next, oh, now it's money. Okay. And here we have to go through this. Oh, now it's food. Okay.
Right.
First it was, it's like, take away the alcohol. That just is one, simple solution that we can let go of.
Right.
Well, now what about the rest of your life? And it is not for the faint of heart. But it is, you do this. And I really learned I say that not to scare any newcomers, because it's 12 hours, it's 24 hours. And I had to bring my brain back into the sense of like, this is it. This is it. This is a small period of time. Like, maybe back in the day I would have been like, wait, I have to get on a plane, I have to go and quick and come home and then go to, do a panel tonight. No. It's how about we just 1 hour at a time?
Right.
It's very manageable.
Right.
Amazing. And then I get to at night check back in, see where I, what I maybe did wrong and who I need to speak to. Usually I take that up immediately, and then I get to do it again. And that's so simple.
Right. And it is. And that's the thing too. It really goes down to the root of how you are inside, right? Whether it's sex, drugs, alcohol, shopping, gambling, whatever it may be. Once you find you and yourself and your purpose and what your goals are, that's where everything just starts to fall into place.
Right.
Because then you're trying to find an escape somewhere, because internally it's like, I can't handle this, I can't handle that. And, you know, I mean, I had that day yesterday. Yesterday I was like, blah, I want to pull my hair out. Like I was losing it. Too many phone calls, too much chaos. Like nothing was going right from the second I woke up. And I went to the gym, and usually that sets the tone. Usually I'm good for the rest of the day. And nope, just like kept coming and coming and coming. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to focus, go back to the gym, release, and left. And I was like much calmer. And I felt, you know, I'm thankful that I have found a place for myself that I can turn to, or something that I can do to be able to cope in a healthy way.
Completely.
Because I've been there where coping in an unhealthy way, and that just becomes more destructive than anything. It does not, it's a temporary fix. You know?
You just spin out.
Exactly.
You spin out. So like I used to, I had 2 Pilates studios, and fitness has always been my thing. And I would almost use it as part of my disease. It was every day, consistent. If I don't go, I beat myself up. You name it. And now I've pulled back to like, okay, there's some other things that we need to look at here. And I go, you know, 3-4 times a week. And I'm getting older, but I'm not using it in the same way, right? So I'm learning that when I have those moments, and my sponsor's a huge part of this, because in my first go around, I was like, I got to call this person every day. I have to tell them what? Like, I'm sorry, you know, but what I'm learning in this relationship, which is by far the hardest thing to actually, like, I'm having relationships with people. Of course I have relationships every day. Well, no, your relationships in your life, you know, you're divorced. Your kids growing up, we're half and half. This isn't the ideal relationships we're trying to create, right?
Right.
Obviously you have other addiction in your family that creates chaos. The businesses you own, you tend to have this like unsigned contract with God that you're going to pay someone else to do the job you're supposed to do. Like all these unmanageable relationships, but yet very functioning.
Right.
So it looks. But like even so today I'm learning, and I'm like, okay, so this relationship with my sponsor is absolutely the most important relationship right now.
Right.
And I hope forever. I love him dearly. Dearly, dearly, dearly. And he's teaching me, again at 50, as a mom, still single, because I cannot figure out what this idea of a real relationship means, you know? I mean, really the basic things. We think basic.
Right.
But the unmanageability part is like, how did I get this far functioning and highly functioning, when the truth is I leave mail in my mailbox for 3 weeks, and my mailman has written me 3 letters and maybe more. Take the mail out of your mail. Oh, right. I leave in the back of my car for months on end when I've been meaning to take it to Goodwill.
Right.
Months when my sponsor what's going on in your, oh, don't worry about it. It'll be taken care of. And he looks at me like, note to self. This might sound like a ridiculous story, but it's the truth. There was like, because I live up in the hills in Laurel Canyon. So I don't go to wash my car every week, you know, but there's like cobwebs and there's you live in the hills. He literally like came in the car and like went like this to get the cobweb off. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. I've been waiting for that to go away. And he looked at me like, wait, how long have you been waiting? And I promise you, and I'm not kidding, it must have been 2 to 3 weeks that like I didn't think to go and clean my own cobwebs in my car, that someone else got in and did it. And I was like, oh, like, thank you, God. And it sounds so dumb, but that's how I live my life in every area. You're going to take care of it for me, right? There's someone out there that's going to do it for me. And I didn't realize that that's what I was doing, because I'm very proactive in my life. But obviously for the little things, there's like this magical like elf floating around that's going to take care of my shit. And they don't. So my life just gets harder and harder and harder in ways that like, in ways that just will come at me. I'll go to the doctor, pay a bill that's sort of for all the stuff going on my face. I'm like, wait, what just happened? So I'm texting my money guy, and then I'm like, why am I texting my money guy? Why can't you pay your own bills? Why does he have to do it? You're paying him this amount of money a year. Now your kids go, I mean, then my whole day is up. I'm crying. I'm not good enough because I don't pay my own bills, because I don't even have like a budget. This is, see where the head's going. This is in every part of my life when I can just be like, okay, this is part of your disease.
Right. Exactly.
This is what you do in every part of your life. So let's go back to step one. How willing am I to realize that I have no power over any of this? Right? And I go through it, and I just pause, and then I'll call Shannon and he'll walk me through it. He'll laugh at me too. Oh, this is funny. Okay. Now, and then I go through solution. Did I send my Mark an email saying, you know what, I think we have to have a meeting. We're going to go over a budget. I really kind of want to know where I'm at. And like, now I'm going to start taking the steps to be in solution to where no man should, if the poor guy died tomorrow, I'd have no idea as to what is going on in my life.
Right.
That's crazy.
And that's hard, is like gaining the control of every area. And that,
which part of me doesn't want it? I'm still a child, and I'm like, someone else is going to do this for me.
Right.
And then right on the flip side of that, I'm like, ooh, this is fun. I'm becoming like an adult at 50. And my life is going to, like, the magical things are happening.
Right. And that's what's hard too. And I've learned through the journey as well. And luckily, you know, when I went through my program, we were taught that all different areas in your life. And I think there was like 8 different areas, right? So you can't put all your focus and energy into your work,
right?
Or just into your health, or just into your family. It's, if you walk down the street and there's a piece of trash on the ground, pick it up and throw it away.
That's like the one thing I'm always like,
you're like, I've got that area. I'm all day.
Good. Yeah. And if it's in my like immediate path, I'll get it. If it's like way over there, I'm like, you didn't, come on. But like, yeah. Okay, go on.
But sometimes I feel like it's good to also lean on, you know, somebody that is able to help in the areas that we
You're absolutely right.
Can't do.
Right.
You
but
know?
But then at what point am I in my unmanageability like, no, he can do that and she can do this and this person will do this, from even like, okay, so, you know, God forbid I clean my own house. Because I've learned I don't.
Right.
Well, why don't you? Right? Like, wake up and clean your house, and don't let your laundry sit there. Like, from the life I live and who I really am to like on behind the scenes, maybe like what's really going on. It's not like, in my mind, it's bad. Like, how dare you? This is out of control. Someone else would be like,
you're over,
relax.
Right. It's fine.
But that's my disease too. Like, I love that I showed up here with Band-Aids on my face.
Right.
Because I'm like, always, I'm going to drive the Range Rover. I'm going to do my hair. I'm going to get dressed up. Everything's done. And I'm going to go on this TV show at some point, and I'm going to have, show up, suit up, and act as if.
Right.
And after that experience, I was like, I don't want any of it.
Right.
I don't want any of it. I don't want anybody to look at me because of that or this, or who cares I have Band-Aids on my face? If I'm not good on the inside and I'm not doing the intense work that you and I are talking about, that seems kind of simple, and it truly is if you're doing it day to day, right? The rest doesn't matter.
And I need to be more like that.
You're perfect the way you are, but if there's something
hard
in you
to show up, you know, or certain things, it's always, I don't want to say always caring what other people think, but
I understand.
You know, I am such a people person, and I love people so much that I need to, at the same time, like, who cares what somebody thinks? You know, and getting to that place, like even doing this podcast, there was so much fear around it, and so many friends and so many people were encouraging me, like, oh my gosh, you should do this. Like, you're a great speaker, and you're able to communicate with people in so many different areas. And I'm like, I'm not going to put myself out there. Are you kidding me?
You are.
I can't. I'm scared. You know, and I'm very much that way. And it's like, people will say, oh, you're so good, but I get so nervous going up and speaking. I get so nervous for pictures. I'm like, you know, smile,
and we know why. It's just it's our disease in our head that's telling us. But once you are connected to spirit, like my sponsor is a dear friend of mine too. He's like, we were doing Rock to Recovery, and I'm about to do the red carpet, and I was like, first I was in my closet at home. I'm like, what? The whole thing. I have to show up. I have to show up as someone else. Realistically, if I'm freaking out about what I'm going to wear and my makeup and my hair, I'm like, Shannon, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to go. He's like, stop it. And he literally just texted me this thing that says, trust your dopeness. And I, at that moment, connected to spirit. And I was like, I am perfect the way that I am. And I'm going to show up on the red carpet. And I'm going to be in a tank top and jeans and my, you know, municipal hoodie. And I don't give a because if you're here to see me on a red carpet for recovery the way that I look, there lies the problem.
Right.
But if you're here to see me and my heart and my recovery and what that looks like, then we have a deal.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So like, you know, because I started a podcast too, and I had my Band-Aids on last night, and I'm like, you know what? And the same stress on a weekly basis. I have to show up as something. I have to, you know, make sure no, Eden, you don't.
And I think part of it is slow down. That's another thing that I've been trying to tell myself, like how you're saying, like, have to clean this and have to do that. And I don't want to do that. You know, it's my OCD and my ADD gets the best of me pretty much on a daily basis.
With you.
Where I am like, slow down. It will make me one dish in the sink will make me just cringe inside, and I'm like, it's not that big of a deal. And to me, my house will be a mess, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, your house is spotless, you have kids, you know. Right. And it's like, I have to remember that. And luckily, like, I have balance. Like, my husband is able to just be like, it's fine, it's cool, you know. Right, you're like good. Breathe a little bit,
right? Pause.
And it's almost like I put myself on a race every single morning, and I know it feels so great for me, and I feel so like satisfied after. If I can accomplish it.
Right.
If I can't accomplish it and now I'm trying to beat the clock, then I start getting anxious and then I start beating myself up.
And that's the worst place to be.
It is a horrible place to be. And every day I'm trying to recognize that, and it's a really, really hard thing for me to do because I'm like, boom, 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 get this, and I'm like, everything's done.
And then
have
you're like,
a
I'm
great
good.
day.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But where it's unhealthy is when I'm like, oh my gosh. And then it's like my kids feel that, and my husband feels it going out the door, and it's like mom's,
when mom's off, the rest of the family is going to be off. So it's obviously your responsibility to figure out how to manage that. And my kids are older now and out of the house, but what we work on, and every morning, you know, I will do my readings. I will talk to God out loud. I will do my meditation. And at that point, okay. But you know, since my kids are out of the house, I've another gentleman in recovery living with me downstairs. He's downstairs on the couch, and my girlfriend, whose son's in college too, she took my daughter's room. So we're all sort of housemates, right? And my skin is like, this is my morning time. I'm reading, I'm meditating. Like, can you guys go get coffee? Like, like BS.
Right.
But if I just can stop and get centered and write my just for today list, which literally manages everything.
Right.
And the funniest thing is I'll usually be like, what can I do today? And pack it. No. How about you start with 4 things today, Eden?
Right.
And get them done, and well done. I feel great. And maybe tomorrow you're going to add the 5th, because what is that important that has to get done today?
Exactly.
Unless it's on the top of your, I mean, you know how to manage that just for today list.
And that's what's so hard though. It's like so much easier said than done. And it's finding that balance for ourselves where it's okay if this carries over to the next day.
Yeah.
I've gone a little bit better at that, but it's hard. You know, it's like I live by a planner, and the satisfaction I get when I'm like, this is impossible to achieve. I'm like, check. I got it all done.
Right. But that's just our ego saying, oh, you can do this, girl, keep going. Where I'm like, you know what? This isn't about me. Like, God, what's today look like for me? Because it's way bigger than I can possibly create on this one sheet of paper. So what's your plan?
Right.
Because your plan's going to take me to where my life is going, you know, and whatever that is. But one day at a time is going to be the manageable way of me allowing his purpose to fill my soul.
Right.
Otherwise, we know what the last 50 years look like. I can continue doing that.
Right. Exactly.
And I'm going to beat my head up against this wall.
Yeah. Right. And so with yours strong and like what you have to do in the meditation and all that. You know, I'm curious to know though, like with recently losing a sibling, like what have you done for that? Like, is it just showing up for yourself? Have you felt you've needed to do anything extra, since that's an extra thing thrown into life?
I mean, I hate to say that, again, I'm glad he's not suffering, right? Mm-hmm. But everything is a lesson. And in his loss, the amount of acceptance that I have found, so I don't go down the spirals of, you know, holding on to what was. I mean, and realistically, if someone's in addiction for a long enough period of time, you lost that person years ago.
Right.
So
right.
I lost my brother, you know, I remember when my kids were, they're 18 and 17. So when my kids were probably 5 and 6, he came to my house and I was going to work and I saw him driving to my house and I'm thinking, it's 7:30 in the morning. Why is my brother going to my house? Sure enough, my nanny's like, your brother's in your bathroom. Da, 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 da. He stole all my jewelry. And from that day on, he was in his addiction and I had lost my brother.
Right.
We didn't come back from that, ever, truly, because that man was my best friend. So in losing him, it was almost like the truth is a release.
Right.
Because I didn't have to see him suffer anymore.
Right.
And it was bad. And then I had to work on, okay, what could I have done better as a sister instead of blaming him as the addict brother? You know, how do I process this as this is it, you know, an acceptance of it. And now you're in it. Like today, Amanda, who picked me up, my brother's a diehard Raider fan.
Was she Raidered out?
I had Memorial. His Memorial was all Raiders. Like everyone's like, nobody in LA is a Raider fan, but,
right.
you know? And so everyone's like, fucking Dave, you know, we have to wear Raiders hats. And so Amanda picks me up, the car's all Raider. I'm like, oh my God, he's right here, right now. My daughter FaceTimes us and I'm like, meet Amanda. And she's in her Raiders t-shirt from his, and I'm like, look at this. And I'm coming here to speak with you, you know? Like I keep... Those are the moments that God's showing you're in the right place and you're in the right time.
Right.
And if what you're doing today to help someone else, no matter what that looks like, even if they say, oh, wait, a just for today list sounds great. Maybe I can manage, you know, this morning and do my 10-minute meditation just to get my brain to sort of come to this place where I can take the next hour and go to a meeting. I don't know what it looks like for somebody. But then, you know, then I've done okay for today.
Right. And that's what I try to give advice to my clients too, is those small little goals. Right. We can't shoot too far, too high. We got to think realistic. And even if it's just make your bed this morning.
Thank you. I've learned that.
That is like my favorite thing. Yeah. And I still carry that till this day. I'm like, so make my bed in the morning. I feel great because that's something I never did. In my addiction, forget the bed was the last thing. I was like, that's way too much work.
Why make the bed?
So when I went through treatment, it was just make your bed. And that was a really hard task for me to do. Like how ridiculous. It's just making your bed.
Yeah. I get it. But sometimes it's just like, go brush your teeth. Well, I don't want to.
Right. Even shower. I'm like, do I really shower today? I feel fine. I don't think I need to.
Some days I don't. Yeah. I'll be honest. I don't think we need a shower every day. Like, but I didn't clean up.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't run or anything. I've just been home lounging. I think I'm fine.
I feel like that's society putting a lot on us that we need to do that always
like
isn't
it's
necessary.
Okay, it's not. And I won't beat myself up if I don't make the bed. But if I have a really crazy day, I know that at the end of the day and I walk back into my room, like, okay, safe spot. It feels good. It feels good to do that. And so I feel like you said, even if this is helping somebody to just make that small list of what they need to do for that day.
That's exactly it. I think, you know, there's a gentleman who shares in meetings all the time. I don't know if I'm following him or he's following me, but, you know, it's the slight shift. And that slight shift, you know, me making my bed or checking, let's say me getting the mail out of the mailbox, just that one little shift long enough, you know, will turn to the next bigger shift and the next bigger shift. And sure enough, after like a year, I'm over here. Right. Life doesn't even look like it used to look like.
Right, exactly. When you take baby steps.
Yeah. I mean, and sometimes I'm like, and I'm really, really, really learning to where like they're, you know, men were a thing for me. And I'm learning that, wow, I am, that was me I thought they had no feelings. They didn't care. I could just use and abuse them. I mean, you name it, leave the sexual part out of it, but just like total disregard. Total disregard. And like these acts of like, oh, next. Oh, he's cute. Oh, ugh, it makes me sick to even think about. I'm learning that like in this time of recovery, like Eden, this is time for you. You know what I mean? This is your time, every one day at a time, just to do the little things for you, so then you could maybe pay it forward to your children, and then your mother and your brother, your family, your core, and then newcomers.
Right.
You know, most likely those go hand in hand.
Right.
But like the more we put out, I guess that being said was as far as men, it was just the constant obsession, compulsion, the mind, you know, and how much space you have by letting something just go. But then having that space is also scary.
Right. Totally. Do you feel that the love addiction and alcoholism went hand in hand, or did you see one pop up more when the other went down?
Because I took alcohol away for the first 9.5 years, and I saw the love just
skyrocketed.
That was my biggest fear, is when I let go of alcohol, how am I going to have this relationship with people, men?
Right.
The alcohol left, and whatever you want to call it, relationship or whatever it looked like, it was abusive.
Did you have to go to treatment for that, or did you?
No, I'm just now, as I'm working the steps again, or properly, it's part of it. And I had my addiction was active in the meetings when I first got back. I was like, oh, he's good. Oh, all over the place. And a dear friend of mine who I have mad respect for, my claws were out for him. And we were flirting, and we went and we had a really fun day, and it was like friendly. And then he said, this is really hard. I'm like, this is impossible. Like, what do I do? And he said, you're just back, you know? So this isn't going to happen at least for a year. And that sounds great. But in my mind, I was like, what? Like, exactly. Like, he said no. I couldn't even wrap myself around, like, wait, what does this mean? Then I went into like, okay, he doesn't like me. I went into the whole story of like, no. Oh, this is how you build a relationship? A friendship?
Friendship first?
Slow? Like, I'm learning so much of what it looks like, where I'm thinking, where did all these tools, honestly, how did I get here? How did I get here?
And do you feel like that all the apps that they have? Because I feel like it's a lot of, like, all these new things that they have, and the pressure now, it's almost putting people in this unhealthy category, you know, because this wasn't a thing before, and now they're making it so easy. And now what should be first, which good for him that he's even saying a friendship.
I have mad respect for him.
Because most people are the opposite, because society is saying it's okay for it to be that. It should be based on first impression. And if you don't like the look of this picture, swipe. Like, that's crazy.
It is. Do you ever watch, I mean, if you ever have time to watch reality.
Yeah, I know, right?
They do the, is it Blind Love? Love
is Blind.
Love is Blind. Thank you. You know, I think it's a genius concept, whether it works or not. But the way that, you know, that kind of, I still feel there's a little, I don't know. It's interesting. No, I think the apps and everything, depending on, you know, how you're stepping into it. Because if you're really looking for love and you're looking to develop a relationship, then obviously that's sort of what's going to find you.
Right.
But if you're coming into it with complete chaos and you just sort of use and abuse men as if they don't really exist, and vice versa, probably, because I'm finding the same.
Of course. And for girls, and then young girls, you know, it's like, I just feel bad for their society. It's like, how do they learn that it is not about, you know, looks or that impulsiveness, and how do they recognize that they're even experiencing that? You know, especially for young girls, they might think that that's normal, of, you know, oh, I really like him, and they're not saying no, versus being okay with rejection and understanding what that looks like, and that it might be the best thing for you, and that actually might be a good guy that's rejecting because you're seeking in a different unhealthy area.
Right.
You know?
And I think that's what it looks like for these young girls. It's people like like you and or I or other women who are willing to step in front of that and say, this is kind of where I went wrong. This is what I do, even up until the age of 50, which I guess it's just because I'm 50 that it's a big deal. But really, how do you get this far without learning these skills? That's crazy to me. And I'm that person. And so I have to come out and I have to use my voice and I have to say that this is what it looks like and that this is what it feels like and that this is not what I want, but this is who I've been. And, you know, even if it's 2 or 3 of my daughter's girlfriends, you know, who love me and have seen me, like I'm the mom that like I go to Boulder for my niece and I'm the mom that's like the cool, and so Chloe's friend was like, hey, you know, my boyfriend for the fraternity, he has to kiss a mom. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? What? I'm like, well, how do you feel about this? Like, this is really an awkward question, but I'm that kind of like open, really cool person that I was like, okay, but just because I'm in like, don't touch me mode. Like I was even afraid to like, just like peck this poor boy on the lips. But then I turn into like the MILF at the fraternity. Like he kissed the mom. I'm like, oh my God, this is so wrong. Like, but that being said, it's like, you need to be willing to risk whatever it looks like to help change, you know, the granted that kiss probably wasn't the best thing, but I didn't kiss him. I was like, I was scared. Yeah. It was really cute. But like, how much are you, I'm willing to say like, this for me is wrong. This is not going to get me to where I really want to be. Right. You know, in many ways, whether it's the Band-Aids on my face, whether it's the car I drive, whether it's showing up and I have to wear heels and, you know, the outfit to act as if, whether it's all of that stuff. That, like, you know, I was 16 years old. I had breast implants and I got them out.
So young.
I was 19 when I got them because my mom and my sister had, I didn't know. And I was this. And had I known, you know, what I know now, I would have never done that. But I needed that for me to feel a certain way to fit in, right? And forget everyone else and their judgment. I mean, it's obviously there growing up in the family I grew up in. Right. But that's a lot of unpeeling of all this stuff that even society is placing upon us. It's not an easy task. So I think more and more women, no matter what age, sort of have to like just share their truth with whatever it is. Right.
Do you feel like everything that you're going through and that you're working through at the moment stems from childhood and things that you either experienced, seen,
for sure,
or went through as a kid?
For sure. Yeah. Definitely. But at some point, you know, how much therapy did I go through? How many thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars have been spent on trying to, you know, help me rehabilitate, or not with drugs, that was relatively, you know, lifted. It's the other stuff that wasn't, you know, when in actuality, I just needed a sponsor and 12 steps and the willingness and honesty to do the work. Wow, that's kind of genius. Yeah.
After all that, this was my answer.
Wait. Oh. Thanks, yeah. Right? It's the addiction, whatever it looks like. Pick any one of them, you know. It's in the mind and it will take you down. And how do you get a hold of that? And how much of your spiritual recovery is involved? Because if it's not, you better find it.
Right. Yeah, and that's hard. It's a hard, you know, I mean, and I acknowledge and really just lift you up for even being courageous to be open about not just one in particular, because it's so easy to talk about one and to recognize that there's other things going on, you know, and whether it's addiction in different areas or co-occurring disorders, you know, like for me, it's the social media and the phone, and I need to check my emails or else I'm going to get behind. I mean, all of those things that I'm continuously trying to work through. And recognizing that I have to continue doing my own work and self-care in different areas, you know, physically and mentally, to stay in tune with myself and be able to be stable for myself.
Well, let's look at your situation. I mean, you have 3, you know, children, a husband, 2 businesses. I mean, you have a lot on your plate. Yeah. And if you don't stay in tune and in line and, you know,
watch out.
Seriously. So someone like you, when you're like, okay, I need some help, then whether it's your husband or maybe someone helping you 3 to 4 hours a week to manage your emails, or, you know, you let some of that control go, that would make sense.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is control. Delegating.
Give
That's a
that
big
shit
thing.
up. His name's God.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I know you know this.
Yeah.
We're just having this conversation, but that'll get you nowhere fast. And you need help.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely. Well, what advice do you give to anybody that is listening and maybe struggling in different areas and don't really know where to turn?
I mean, the first word that come is honesty. Like, look, there's somewhere deep inside of us when you connect to source, whatever you want to call it. Like, I call it God, source, love is God. Like, what is that thing deep down, you know? And you can get out of this headspace that tells you everything that other than I'm in pain and I need help. And right there, then ask. You know, be of service. Find someone who, oh my God, I keep my Instagram open all the time, and people reach out because I was on the show and I was in recovery then. Not the best recovery, but I was abstinent. So people know that they can come to me. And if I can't help, then I am the Buddha bridge.
Right.
Or I will find you the next best, whatever it looks like. However I can be of service, I'll do that. I think you just have to be willing. I appreciate you. I love the work that you do.
Thank you.
Really. And if I can ever be of service, I don't know what that looks like, please ask.
Absolutely. Well, I think just being here today is sharing your message and hope that people can do it and get through it even after, you know, a long period of time, and not beating themselves up if they fall, and you get right back up and you recognize more like that.
Exactly. And I think that's one thing. It's like a friend of mine said, freedom is discipline.
Right.
And I didn't have that discipline that he was speaking about. And I think that when you commit to it, then you better, excuse my language, you better commit like your life. Everything is depending on it, because it is.
Right. Agreed. How do people find you if they want to reach out?
Just my Instagram, Eden Sassoon, 2 S's, 2 O's at me.com. Oh, that's my email. Go for it. Email me.
you. Perfect. Well, thank you, Eden.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Love you,
Much
lady.
love.